Modern Warfare 3 is upon us, and it's times like these where I question if I'm living in some sort of perpetual time loop. Every year a new Call of Duty is announced, and every year the community seems to hate it from the beginning or grow to hate it over time. Every year the top content creators show up to COD Next and are won over by an Eminem song and a trailer. And every year COD outsells every other game on the market despite the largely negative online discourse. Every year, except 2021. We all saw how ass Vanguard would be from a mile away. In terms of its gameplay, Modern Warfare 3 is a slight improvement over MW2. The movement is more fluid, red dots are back on the minimap, and the game is packed with over a dozen nostalgic maps from the original MW2. But to say that these improvements justify the $70 asking price for this game is blasphemous. $70 for a game that is so obviously a DLC for MW2, for features that could have been included in one of the 30GB patches they crank out once a month, is insulting. It's a slap in the face to a player base that's cheeks are already bright red and throbbing, and I'm about to tell you why. To fully understand the extent of this middle finger from Activision, we gotta go back to the beginning, to February 2022, when rumors surrounding MW3 began to surface. Jason Schreier, one of the most consistently reliable journalists in the gaming industry, first reported on a hybrid DLC expansion pack that Activision was planning to release for their upcoming game, which at the time was Modern Warfare 2. I already covered the history of these leaks in a different video, so I'm not going to get into it heavily here, but Schreier claimed that Activision was finally planning to abandon the annualized release model for COD and giving each subsequent game a full 2 years in the limelight. I'm sure you can imagine how the community reacted to the news. Now, to be fair to Activision, for some nonsensical reason, I feel the need to be fair to Activision here. They never confirmed this rumor and sorta kinda denied it after Schreier's initial reporting, but this was the narrative that spread across the gaming industry like wildfire. I suppose that we can't technically hold it against them because of this little corporate speak statement, but it's important to note that Schreier did stand by his initial reporting even after the full scope of Modern Warfare 3 was eventually revealed, stating that the game did start as an expansion for MW2 and eventually morphed into a full game. Do we have smoking gun evidence that this was the case? No. But I'd be willing to bet all the money in my bank account that Schreier isn't talking out of his ass here. I mean, all the money in my bank account. That could get you like 3 Nicki Minaj bundles. Because after playing the beta, it really seems like that's the case. This game is nearly identical to MW2. I don't think I've ever seen a more egregious copy-paste job in the entire gaming space, let alone the COD franchise. Outside of the yellow text, you'd be hard-pressed to find any difference visually between these two games. Everything is just indistinguishable, and that's compared to a game that was already pretty similar looking to MW 2019. As sequels, the games are obviously supposed to share a general aesthetic and art style, but if this is going to be marketed and sold as a brand new entry to the COD franchise, it should be at least a little visually distinctive from the previous entry. I mean, I can't think of a single other shooter that would put so little effort into altering the visuals and this copy-paste extends into the menus with the UI, which again looks essentially identical to MW2, one of the most universally hated UIs in COD history. The gameplay improvements do result in a marginally better gameplay experience. Having red dots show up on the minimap again helps with map flow and general pacing, and G Fuel sweats around the world are rejoicing over the return of the slide cancel, the almighty slide cancel that has graced us from the godly hands of Sledgehammer and brought our franchise back from the depths of... No. Honestly, fuck slide canceling, but the movement overall feels smoother and faster and like a step up from MW2. And I gotta say that I'm a fan of the slightly higher time to kill in this game. It's short enough to still feel like Call of Duty, but just long enough to open up a few strafing options and gunfights and give you that extra millisecond to get behind cover with 2 health left. But are we gonna pretend that the few minor gameplay adjustments they've made justify the cost of this game? All 3 of the things that I just talked about could be implemented into MW2 right now if they wanted to. Stuff like red dots on the minimap and player health. These are the types of adjustments that games like Apex, Overwatch, Halo, and Battlefield put out for free in their seasonal or monthly updates. And Activision wants to charge you another $70 for the same privilege. This entire package, the original MW2 maps and some new weapons and the gameplay tweaks, it doesn't equate to a new game. It's an expansion of MW2 and nothing more. anymore. It feels like a huge seasonal drop, not a new experience, and it shouldn't be priced like it's a new experience. And let's also put to bed this notion that the franchise is gonna do a 180 out of nowhere and abandon the business model it's so thoroughly crafted to this point. The aggressive monetization and overpriced bundles aren't gonna change. The matchmaking system isn't gonna change. The faulty netcode isn't gonna change. Because why would it? It doesn't matter how many SBMM rants we make or how many times we hop online and dramatically call out Activision. It's the best-selling game of the year every year, and that's not something that a YouTube video essay or a boycott among your friend group can solve. This franchise is like Pokemon, too big to fail. It doesn't matter how little effort they put into these titles, millions of people will eat them up. To play COD in 2023 is to accept that these things have embedded themselves into the DNA of this franchise, and gaming in general, which is sad, but at least we have single-player games. Call of Duty could be in a worse place right now, which isn't saying much considering that community sentiment was at an all-time low throughout most of 2023, but still. The best hope for this franchise moving forward is that things get a little better under Microsoft now that they own the franchise, but judging by Halo Infinite's interesting journey thus far, I'm not exactly sure that's something we can look to with confidence. I think I'm gonna make a whole video about the implications of the Microsoft acquisition for COD, but I wouldn't be surprised if Xbox takes a hands-off approach and just lets them do whatever they want to keep raking in cash. They just spent $69 billion on Activision, and as much as I want to believe that Phil Spencer is gonna step in and demand that COD starts respecting their player base again, I just don't think it's gonna happen. When you're a high-level corporate suit like him, money talks, bullshit walks, and dumbass superhero bundles live forever. And regardless of your opinions of MW3 and its improved gameplay, no one can deny that this sets a horrible precedent for this franchise. Call of Duty is trying to homogenize every release into a singular platform, the Call of Duty HQ, which I actually don't have a problem with at a baseline level. The fact that MW2's weapons, camo grinds, and maps are carrying over to MW3 is undeniably a good thing. That's maybe the one saving grace of this entire game for me, and it's the one area where Activision is showing us at least a little respect for our time and money. It makes me feel like the camo and weapon leveling grind wasn't a complete waste of time last year, which is a step up from every other Call of Duty ever made. Combining the content of these two games into a single experience isn't an inherently bad idea, but this level of copy-paste is not worth $70, regardless of the presence of a single-player campaign that feels identical to MW2's yet again. This is Activision testing the waters, seeing how much they can get away with in terms of reskinned content. The entire existence of COD has been a shoving match between the player base and the multi-billion-dollar corporation obsessed with nickel and diming its customers, and the fight is lost. MW3 is going to dominate the sales charts, and don't be surprised when this becomes a trend moving forward. When after Treyarch's new Black Ops reboot releases in 2024, we see a Black Ops 2 DLC game just like MW3 released the year after. It's just too easy for them. It's a real-life infinite money glitch. The only thing that makes me feel better is that the money isn't going to Bobby Kotick anymore. And if you want to blame someone for all this, don't blame the YouTubers that buy the game and make thoughtful critiques about how this franchise can and should improve. Don't blame your fellow commenters on videos like these, the invested players that are taking the time to discuss the intricacies of the game and showing concern for the future of COD. It's the fault of the microtransaction zombies that allow Activision to turn absolutely absurd profit margins on bullshit cosmetics. They make more money selling wrapper skins and weapon variants than they do selling the game itself. What incentive do they have to create a brand new experience when they know that all they have to do is release a Homelander skin to meet their quarterly profit projections in one fell swoop? Why would they give a shit about game quality when they're making hundreds of millions off of Black Cell and the grindy battle passes and the $25 bundles in the shop? Why would they care about online discourse and people bitching about SBMM when it doesn't seem to impact their bottom line in any tangible way? So should you buy MW3? I don't know, do whatever you want, dude, because I think it's time that we start pointing fingers at the right things. A boycott of the Call of Duty franchise would be about as effective as me trying to convince Kylie that we should hang my Skyrim posters in the living room. It'll be met with an eye roll and a, yeah, okay. Trying to convince people to not buy the game is a pointless endeavor, because the casual COD player base that isn't even a part of the online discourse will always outnumber you 100 to 1. but convincing your friends to pass on that 21 Savage bundle in favor of a brand new game might be a better use of your time. Games like Call of Duty are gonna sell regardless, but maybe we still have a chance to change the economics of our favorite live service titles. Maybe turning our nose up at the bundles and bullshit like Black Cell will send a message that while COD does have a very committed player base, we care more about game quality than MTX throwaways. Or at least pushing them to go free to play if they're gonna maintain this same business model. Maybe, but oh shit. Cat bundle?
Where the fuck is my credit card?
But what do you think of MW3? Are you satisfied with what's on offer, or do you agree with my take here? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, drop a like on your way down there and subscribe for more FPS content like this. And if the thought of playing COD again makes you throw up in your mouth, check out my second channel, Opening Up, which is the new home for my single-player, open-world, action-adventure, RPG content. Holy shit, that's a mouthful. I know I've been flopping back and forth on how I want to present my content, and I apologize for that, but this is what it is going forward. FPS stuff here, open world stuff over there. The plan isn't changing again, I promise. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Yags, signing off.